All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at reflecting a point over the axis. So we're taking that point, right, and we are going to reflect it over an axis. So what is reflection? Maybe if you think about where you've heard it before, what I hear the most is people think about their reflection in a mirror. So what really happens when you're thinking about your reflection is you have your face, right? Or maybe if you're looking at your face in the mirror, you have your face, you have the mirror, and then it doesn't look like your face is on top of the mirror, right? It looks like your face is inside of the mirror. So what that's called is the image, and that's really the same thing that's happening here with math. What happens is the distance from your face to the mirror, it looks like it's the same as the distance from the mirror to the image of your face on the other side. Okay, so that is really what's happening when we're doing this also with math, except a little bit easier. We're taking that point, we say it's a certain distance away from the axis, so its image is going to be the same distance on the other side. So let's take a look at this pink point that we looked at in our last video. We saw that it was at 5 and 4, right? Those were the coordinates. So if I were to reflect it over the x-axis, right, my x-axis is right there. So I want my point to be, its image, right, to be the same distance away on the other side of that x-axis. So if I take a look, I see that it is 1, 2, 3, 4 units away from the x-axis. So its image also needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4 units away. Right? So that would be its reflection. So this would be at, if I were to write the coordinates, 5 and -4. And what you'll see is when we reflect over that x-axis, my y value is what changes, right? My x didn't change since I'm going over top of x. Those are all still at x equals 5, but I'm going from +4 to -4, right? We can see that there, +4, -4. Now, if I were to reflect over the y-axis, I'm going to go back to that same pink point that we just started with, over top of the y-axis, right? Well, now I'm going the other way. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the other side of y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this is where I want to put my point. Try to make sure I have it in the right spot, right? So now these coordinates we can see are x is -5 and y is 4. Okay, so it's the opposite of what happened last time. We went over the y-axis. Now what we see is that my y value stayed the same, but my x went from positive to negative because now we moved on the x-axis because we went over y. Okay, my y actually stays the same. If I were to reflect over both axes, right, I would go over y and then over x, or over x and then over y. But either way, if you were to do that, you would, so if I could take either one of the reflections I already did, if I were to take this reflection over the y-axis, that would put me right here, right? They're both going to be 5 units away from the x-axis, away from the y-axis, or same, I could go from here over, and it's going to put me at the same spot either way, which is going to be at -5, -4. So when I reflect over both axes, you can see that both of my signs change. I was at +5, +4. Reflecting over both axes is going to put me at -5, -4. Okay? So I want you to pause your video and I want you to try to reflect this little green point. You can see it up in quadrant 2 here. Can you reflect it over the y-axis for me? Go ahead and pause. And when you're finished, we see that we're currently at -6 and 1. When I'm going over my y-axis, right, I want to be the same distance away from the y-axis. So right now, from -6 to the y-axis, it's 6 units. So I need to go from my y-axis 6 units over again, which puts me at 6 and 1. 6 and 1. Okay, so that is what you should have gotten to reflect over the y-axis. Remember, you want to go over top of that y-axis. If you don't cross it, then you didn't reflect over the right axis. Okay, if you have any questions, put them in the comments or feel free to shoot me a text.